Signed legislation to reopen our government and pay America's bills.
Sure you did.
Because Democrats and responsible Republicans came together.
Whatever.
The first government shutdown in 17 years
whatever. What a fake out.
First default in more than 200 years.
Yeah, whatever.
Will not happen.
Yeah, will not happen. It was going to happen anyway.
Threats to our economy have now been lifted, and I want to thank those Democrats and Republicans for getting together and ultimately getting this job done.
Right, whatever.
Now, there's been a lot of discussion lately of
you ain't nobody's hero
of this shutdown. But let's be clear.
You ain't clear about nothing.
These last few weeks have inflicted completely unnecessary damage.
Oh, you guys knew you were going to do it anyway.
We don't know yet the full scope of the damage.
What
but every
damage?
analyst out there believes it slowed our growth.
Slowed your growth? What?
We know that families have gone without paychecks or services they depend on.
Write some more phony money.
Potential home buyers have gotten fewer mortgages and small business loans have been put on hold.
Yeah, what, are you the hero now?
We know that consumers have cut back on spending and that half of all CEOs say that the shutdown and the threat of shutdown set back their plans to hire over the next 6 months.
Oh, bull.
We know that just the threat of default, of America not paying all the bills that we owe on time, increased our borrowing costs, which adds to our deficit.
Whatever.
And of course, we know that the American people's frustration with what goes on in this town has never been higher.
Well, it's righteously so.
That's not a surprise.
Yeah, the surprise is you're even still
there.
there.
The American people are completely fed up with Washington.
That's right.
At a moment when our economic recovery demands more jobs, more momentum, we've got yet another self-inflicted crisis that set our economy back.
Yep.
And for what? There was no economic rationale for all of this.
It's the phony Obamacare that's going to break everybody's
our
back.
Our economy's been growing. Our businesses have been creating jobs.
Oh, baloney.
And our deficits have been cut
Chinese
in
have
half.
been raping and pillaging us.
We hear some members who pushed for the shutdown say they were doing it to save the American economy.
Yeah, trying to get away from China.
Nothing has done more to undermine our economy these past 3 years than the kind of tactics that create these manufactured crises. And you don't have to take my word for it.
We wouldn't take your word anyway.
The agency that put America's credit rating on watch the other day explicitly cited all of this.
Who's that?
Saying that our economy remains more dynamic and resilient than other advanced economies, and that the only thing putting us at risk is, and I'm quoting here, repeated brinksmanship.
You repeated a bunch of lawyers.
That's what the credit rating agency said.
Get rid of you guys.
That wasn't a political statement. That was an analysis of what's hurting our economy.
Yeah, lawyers. Too many lawyers.
Whose job it is to analyze these things.
Now quit analyzing it. Just let us.
That also happens
less
to
government.
be the view of our diplomats.
Get out of it.
Who've been hearing from their counterparts internationally. Some of the same folks who pushed for the shutdown and threatened default claimed their actions were needed to get America back on the right track.
No, well, all you bankers just get together.
But probably nothing has done more damage to America's credibility in the world, our standing with other countries,
whatever,
than the spectacle that we've seen these past several weeks.
You're the spectacle, all right.
It's encouraged our enemies, it's emboldened our competitors, and it's depressed our friends who look to us for steady leadership.
Who cares about them?
Now, the good news is...
The good news.
We'll bounce back from this.
No way, sure.
We always do.
Yeah, you guys do. You got the money.
America's the bedrock of the global economy for a reason. We are the indispensable nation that the rest of the world looks to as the safest and most reliable place to invest. Something that's made it easier for generations of Americans to invest in their own futures.
What a joke.
We have earned that responsibility over more than 2 centuries because of the dynamism of our economy and our entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs, no, you're a bunch of lawyers.
Productivity of our workers.
Bunch of
lawyers. But also
lawyers.
because we keep our word and we meet our obligations.
No, you don't.
That's what full faith and credit means.
Baloney.
You can count on us. And And today I want our people and our businesses and the rest of the world to know that the full faith and credit of the United States remains unquestioned.
Yeah, we're still printing phony money. So take our phony money.
All my friends in Congress understand that how business is done in this town has to change.
No, yeah, okay, you're going to be the
because
dictator.
We've all got a lot of work to do on behalf of the American people, and that includes the hard work of regaining their trust.
You ain't going to regain no trust.
Our system of self-government doesn't function without it.
Self-government? Huh?
Now that the government is reopened, and this threat to our economy is removed, all of us need to stop focusing on the lobbyists and the bloggers and the talking heads on radio and the professional activists who profit from conflict, and focus on what the majority of Americans sent us here to do.
What? What's that?
That's grow this economy. Create good jobs.
No.
Strengthen the middle class.
No.
Educate our kids.
No.
Lay the foundation for broad-based prosperity.
You guys want
to get our
do
fiscal
too
house
much.
in order for the long haul.
No, you need to stay the hell out of our business.
That's
what you need to do.
That should be our focus.
Undo all the crap you've done. Can you hit the undo button?
We all know that we have divided government right now.
Always have, always will
There's
be.
a lot of noise out there.
That's what it's all about.
From the extremes affect how a lot of members of Congress see
Well, I'm sorry, King Obama.
the day-to-day work that's supposed to be done here.
Once you start beheading,
and let's face it, the American people don't see every issue
so
the
pissed
same
off,
way.
ain't you?
That doesn't mean we can't make progress.
Yeah, we can make progress.
When we disagree, we don't have to suggest that the other side doesn't love this country or believe in
that's
free
what you
enterprise
just
or all the
said.
other rhetoric that seems to get worse every single year.
Now you're backtracking on yourself. You're going back to kissing their butt again.
If we disagree on something, we can move on and focus on the things
So
we
why are
agree
you
on.
blaming somebody? You're part of it. You
And get
are
some
the
stuff
part
done.
of the problem.
Let me be specific about 3 places where I
How did
believe
you
we
ever
can
get
make
in
progress right now.
How did you get
First,
in there?
in the coming days and weeks, we should sit down and pursue a balanced approach to a responsible budget. A budget that grows our economy faster and shrinks our long-term deficits further.
You guys can't do that.
At the beginning of this
It ain't
year,
been done.
that's what both Democrats and Republicans committed to doing. Senate passed a budget, House passed a budget. They're supposed to come together and negotiate.
Yeah, whatever.
And had one side not decided to pursue a strategy of brinksmanship, each side could have gotten together and figured out how do we shape a budget that provides certainty to businesses and people who rely on government, provides certainty to investors in our economy.
You're going to go on forever,
We'd be growing
Obama.
faster right now. Now, the good news is the legislation I signed yesterday now requires Congress to do exactly that.
What?
What it could have been doing all along.
Another one of those executive orders from
And
the
we shouldn't approach this process of creating a budget as an ideological exercise. Just cutting for the sake of cutting. The issue is not growth versus fiscal responsibility. We need both. We need a budget that deals with the issues that most Americans are focused on. Creating more good jobs that pay better wages.
Are you an employer?
And remember, the deficit is getting smaller.
What business are
not
you
bigger.
running? Monkey
It's going down
business.
faster than it has in the last 50 years.
You need to get the hell out of business. That's your problem.
The challenge we have right now are not
You're not a
short-term
CEO.
deficits. It's the long-term obligations that we have around things like Medicare
Do
and
you
Social
know what
Security.
your job is, buddy?
We want to make sure those are there for future
Try to
generations.
create these things. That's why there's a problem.
So the key now is a budget that cuts out the things that we don't need,
Huh?
closes corporate tax loopholes that don't help create jobs,
See, there you go. Listen to this.
frees up resources for the things that do help us grow.
Well, then get
Like
rid of the
education
banks.
and infrastructure
Get
and
started all
research.
over again.
And these things historically have not been partisan.
Whatever. What a monkey.
And this shouldn't be as difficult as it's been in past years because we already spend less than we did a few years ago. Our deficits are half of what they were a few years ago.
You're lying. That's why our money ain't worth nothing.
The debt problems we have now are long-term, and we can address them.
Yeah, imagine that.
Shortchanging our kids, or shortchanging our grandkids, or weakening the security that current generations.
Get the hell out of those wars. Quit pissing all our money away on war.
So that's number one. Number
one, that's
we should finish fixing the job of our. Let me say that again. Number two.
You can't even believe it.
We should finish the job of fixing our broken immigration system.
Immigration? Hell, you open the borders, you can call them off.
There's already a broad coalition across America that's behind this effort of comprehensive immigration reform.
What do you want to do? Just say the hell with it and listen them all in?
To law enforcement. In fact, the Senate has already passed a bill with strong bipartisan support that would make the biggest commitment to border security in our history, would modernize our legal immigration system, make sure everyone plays by the same rules, make sure that folks who came here illegally have to pay a fine, pay back taxes, meet their responsibilities.
Oh, that's it, huh?
That bill's already passed the Senate.
That's all they got to do?
And economists estimate that if that bill
How about all the
law,
money you've given these people?
Would be 5% larger 2 decades from now.
Billions of dollars you've given them.
$1.4 trillion in new economic
on our
growth.
system. You paid them to be here, monkey boy.
The majority of Americans think this is the right thing to do.
I swear somebody's got it. Where's your little cup and your little hat? Because I know somebody's pulling your strings, monkey boy.
Now, if the House has ideas on how to improve the Senate bill, let's hear them. Let's start the negotiations. But let's not leave this problem to keep festering for another year or 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah, let's just keep
this can and should get done by the end of this year.
We got a lot more to worry about than that. Hey, how about
we should pass a farm bill?
Hi, son. How about getting NASA going? Let's get some more information.
Farmers and ranchers can depend on. One that protects vulnerable children and adults.
We'll get the GMO.
One that gives rural communities opportunities to grow and the long-term certainty that they deserve. Again, the Senate's already passed a solid bipartisan bill. It's got support from Democrats and Republicans.
Whatever.
It's sitting in the House, waiting for passage. If House Republicans have ideas that they think would improve the Farm Bill, let's see them. Let's negotiate.
Yeah, let's get rid of Monsanto.
What are we waiting for?
Shut them down.
Let's get this done.
Get the steroids out of our food.
Passing a budget.
Let's talk about health.
Immigration reform. Farm Bill. Those are 3 specific things that would make a huge difference in our economy right now.
Baloney.
And we could get them done by the end of the year.
Yeah. Let's just tie up the loose ends.
Our focus is on what's good for the American people.
What is good for the American people? Why don't you tell us?
And that's just the big stuff. There are all kinds of other things that we could be doing that don't get as much attention. I understand we will not suddenly agree on everything now that the cloud of crisis has passed.
Cloud of crisis.
Democrats and Republicans are far apart on a lot of issues. And I recognize there are folks on the other side who think
this crisis wouldn't be there if you guys would quit giving all the money to the rich and all the breaks to the rich and to the banks. There wouldn't be this big separation.
Democracy. That's how it works. We can
there
debate
used to be a middle class
vigorously, passionately, in good faith through the normal democratic process.
You're taking all the jobs out of this country, dum-dum.
We'll be just too far apart to forge an agreement.
There ain't no more jobs.
But that should not hold
back
no
middle class.
Our efforts in areas where we do agree.
Agree with what?
We shouldn't fail to act on areas that we do agree or could agree just because we don't think it's good politics.
Whatever. You're going to go on forever
just because
now.
The extremes in our party don't like the word compromise.
This can be a long one.
I will look for willing partners wherever I can to get important work done.
Willing partners. What does that mean?
And there's no good reason why we can't govern responsibly.
Where's Holly, the stenographer that
despite our differences,
said what she said? You guys put her in jail?
From manufactured crisis to manufactured crisis.
She's the only one that ever told the truth on the floor.
In fact, one of the things that I hope all of us have learned these past few weeks is that it turns out smart, effective government is important.
You mean conniving?
I think the American people during this shutdown had a chance to get
you just did that on purpose. Just to give the American people what the hell you got control over. This is what we can do to you.
Make a difference in people's lives.
You better pay attention to us.
And we hear all the time about how government is the problem.
It is the problem.
It turns out we rely on it in a whole lot of ways. Not only does it keep us strong through our military and our law enforcement.
He's telling a story now.
It plays a vital role in caring for our seniors and our veterans.
Yeah.
Educating our kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making sure our workers are trained for the jobs that are being created. Arming our businesses with the best science and technology so they can compete with companies from other countries.
Right.
It plays a key role in keeping our food and our toys and our workplaces safe. It helps folks rebuild after a storm. It conserves our natural resources.
No, that's what we pay insurance for, buddy.
It helps to sell our products overseas.
What products? We don't got no products. It all comes from overseas to here. You mean
so let's
everything's made in China.
To make government work better.
Have you not woke up?
Like
Do you believe what you're saying?
We're purposely making it work worse. That's not what the founders of this nation envisioned when they gave us the gift of self-government.
They sure didn't do anything here.
You don't like a particular policy? Or a particular president?
I don't like none of you presidents.
Then argue for your position.
No, let's just throw your butts out.
Push to change it.
How can we?
But don't break it.
It costs $1 billion to be a damn president now. What's wrong with you?
Don't break what our predecessors spent over 2 centuries building.
Then you got to steal all the votes.
That's not being faithful to what this country's about.
No, give me a break.
That brings me to one last point.
One last
point. I've got a simple message for all the dedicated and patriotic federal workers who've either worked without pay or been forced off the job without pay these past few weeks.
Yeah.
Including most of my own staff.
Didn't have nobody wipe your butt, King Obama?
Thanks for your service. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
What you do is important. It matters.
There's too many of you. That's the problem.
You defend our country overseas.
You guys are doing nothing. Nothing. Okay? You're being paid to do nothing. Who's paying you? What are we paying you for?
And gain footholds in overseas
markets. Too much pay.
You protect the air we breathe and the water our children drink.
What?
You push the boundaries of science.
No, I think the Lord does all that, slim boy.
You guide hundreds of thousands of people each day through the glories of this country.
We need to bring them home.
Thank you.
Get us out of these crazy campaigns you guys get into.
What you do is important. Don't let anybody else tell you different.
No. Bring them home.
Especially the young people who come to this city to serve.
Serve what?
Believe that it matters.
Believe what matters.
Well, you know what? You're right.
It doesn't matter. No. It doesn't matter much anymore at all.
And those of us who have the privilege to serve this country have an obligation to do our job as best we can.
If you were doing your job, there wouldn't be no problems. We wouldn't even hear about it. Because everything would be just sweet. You guys are into it too much. That's the problem.
You can't degenerate into hatred. The American people's hopes and dreams are what matters, not ours. Our obligations are to them. Our regard for them compels us all, Democrats and Republicans, to cooperate and compromise and act in the best interests of our nation.
Oh, sure, King.
One nation, under God, indivisible.
What about Jesus Christ?
Liberty and justice for all.
Where's Jesus Christ, monkey?
Thanks very much.
Yeah, whatever. There you go, friends. Dummy at it again. Bye-bye, friends.